Hotline Miami is a game famous for its excessive amount of explicit violence and the soundtrack. Its success stems from its seemingly simple yet complex elements. One of the keys to the success of Hotline Miami is its elegancy. It presents a steep learning curve but offers a limited amount and simple mechanics. The game utilizes standard WASD movement, with the left mouse to use a weapon and the right mouse to throw the weapon the player is holding. Enemies who are attacked by non-lethal weapon needs to be finished by a finishing attack. The player can zoom to help look further, which helps, but not always that useful, as sometimes the enemies are way too far.
The game presents a loop structure similar to the squeeze and release technique through the levels that are used to explain the story. With first the player picking up the phone call, going to the location, killing the enemies, making them go through a stressful situation, and then driving to an establishment. Joao is finding his friend, Beard, working there, forcing the player to take a breather and release the stress. Those sections are used to hint the story to the player, with every visit becoming more distorted as the game progresses. The game, despite its simple mechanics, offers a variety of dynamics that result in a challenging and diverse gameplay experience, while promoting the themes of violence and reliable narration that the game is centered around. For example, doors have a variety of uses, from the mechanic of knocking down enemies with it, or maybe using as a shield to protect from the bullets, or even maybe closing it so it makes the player more stealthy, making the game a very adaptive to play style. The game high skill ceilings allow the player to choose a variety of weapons, giving the player the choice to slowly approach enemies or go full on gun blazing, which connects back to the score mechanic, as the more enemies the player kills in succession, the more points they get. This can be connected with the switching weapon mechanic that allows the player to get more points and combos, as the more variety of weapons the player uses, the more points they get. The game attempts to make the player feel energetic with the soundtrack and brightly colored and moving text, which is further enforced by the score mechanic. As the game progresses, the transition sections start to distort. This is seen with the protagonist's friends working all establishment and seeing talking corpses, to later discover that events took place were all in the protagonist's memories. To further solidify this idea, Beard, the friend that the protagonist talks to every transition, has been dead for years. His image is just a trauma projected by the protagonist's mind, and a biker, the enemy who's killed in the telephone company, wasn't killed at all. That was just what the protagonist thinks, and he is later revealed to be alive. The game aesthetics falls into sensation. The game feels very addicting and rewarding to play. The controls are easy to learn. Fantasy, the game is a very arcadey visual style and mechanics, making the game feel like a fever dream. Narrative, the Hotline Miami story is a complicated one, as the game is mostly played through the protagonist's point of view. As the protagonist is not a reliable narrator, the story begins to distort, and this adds more to the mystery of the game, adding more to the already complex world building. Challenge, Hotline Miami is all about challenge. The levels are hard to play, and this is what creates the game addicting cycle. As it's easy to restart levels, dying feels as there's no downsides at all to it. The player does not have to face a long loading screen to jump back at action, and the levels are very short, so progress lost by dying is very small. With all those factors coming to play, we get the kill, die, repeat cycle.